ladies and gentlemen, and being a producer of Wrestle Massacre as well as Inside Movies Galore, I am David Strege, and welcome to Delusions of Grandeur. Enjoy the reviews. I certainly did. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Inside Movies Galore. I am one of your hosts, but tonight we are going to start the real journey of this month. Say goodbye, the fake skeleton key. This is the real one. Okay. I spoiled it already for you, Brandon, but you can tell the rest of what movie franchise are you beginning to subject us to?
Well, we are doing the 2006 John Johnson remake of Skeleton Key. And not a remake. Actually, the history of this film is pretty interesting. I'll put a little bit of that real quick. People really like to confuse the two. I remember I did reviews on all four of these films, and so many people were saying that film was really good, all of this, and they were all on me, and I'm like, did you listen to my review at all? But this one actually did have a couple of prior incarnations, so technically it does predate this film. That film. The original Skeleton Key was a short film, 40-minute short film, directed and written by John Johnson in 1997. And then in the early 2000s, they did a feature-length version that was straight to video. Neither one of those is available outside of his own reach. I think he even tried to get me some copies of them at one point and was unable to get them. So those are probably lost media right now. But we do have this film. So this is a particular one, is a horror comedy about a tabloid reporter, Howard, who, in the process of covering a story on a five-legged, two-headed goat, comes across the town of Nilbog. The town is a nexus of supernatural activity, which serves as the backdrop for hordes of monsters, musical numbers, and one man's discovery of the meaning of love. Well, with that lovely, lovely introduction, we'll go ahead and get into them first impressions. So why don't we start with you, Dave? Was this your first time watching Skeleton Key?
Oh, no. I got into the Skeleton Key way before I met you. And it just so happens we kind of worked in the same universe when you told me about that you had it, and we're starting to work on hunting down the rest of them. I swear you were still hunting them down when we kind of like coerced online for the first time.
Yeah, that third one.
And it's kind of had some shelf life. I'll give a little bit into the distribution side of things. I believe it was originally distributed through Brain Damage Films, and then Milk Creek scooped up every Brain Damage film there ever was because the company kind of went under, and spruced them out to like first they did a couple of 100 movie sets, then they split them up into 50 movie sets, and then they even went even further and split them up into 6 movie sets. So I believe that John Johnson in his earlier movies are on those sets. Not sure the Skeleton Key is, but I'm pretty sure there is another copy out there besides the Brain Damage one, because I have that one. I'm not sure if I have the copy that you produced. So your copy is rare. But that being said, I also know that John Johnson, one of his favorite movies is Troll 2. And if you know anything about Troll 2, it's set in Nilbog. I don't think Trolls is. I don't think Trolls is set in Nilbog, but Trolls
Not
2
Troll,
is.
yeah.
And so that's what became like his backdrop for almost every single films that he made since doing Skeleton Key. And he's worked the bulk of his life bringing it to life in different multi things. But anywho, this is a strange movie. Strange in the fact that, first of all, it's independent. Second of all, it's funny as hell to me. And I mean, he's got a Haitian cabbie driver and a Indian photographer that looks like a wimpy version of what was his, who was the dude that stood and was like Daddy Warbucks' bodyguard on Annie. He's like a wimpy version of that, and actually he kind of looks like one of the guys that was strapped in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, going to get his heart. Whatever. But if you like to think about some of these movies, and weirdly enough, some of it kind of reminds me of like Kabuki Man from like Trauma, just a little bit. And it's got some definite vibes that way. Debbie Rashawn and Brink Stevens kind of show up. I don't think Debbie Rashawn really speaks all too much in this one, but she's definitely a legendary scream queen. I was trying to figure out who Brink Stevens played, but I guess I wasn't really looking too deeply for her. But yeah, I think that this wasn't a bad first, at least what he ultimately has surviving on DVD as the Skeleton Key. I thought the characters were interesting. Some of them were annoying and are still annoying.
Some?
But it's got some life. So I feel like it's got some legs. And for those who enjoy comedy and enjoy low budget films, this isn't a bad venture into the unknown, if as it were. But it's a fairly enjoyable one, and I like returning to it from time to time. Anyways, sorry for babbling, but it is one that I actually kind of like. So,
all right. Well, how about you, Tammy? Was this your first time watching Skeleton Key?
Yeah, I believe so. It was weird. It was funny and wacky, and I don't know.
did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I was amused. I think I was amused because it just is like, okay, what's gonna come up next? Okay, what weird person next? And their antics were just kind of like off the wall, but it was funny. It was fun. It kept me amused. So
Okay. What about you, Brandon?
Jake.
Oh, didn't know he arrived. Hey, Jake.
I am here.
Jake's the invisible man, like in the movie.
Yes, It's the opposite of visible.
He survived.
I will admit, the Invisible Man was one of the better elements in the film.
Oh, I used the heck out of me in that one.
So, so this was an interesting one for me. This was definitely a first time watch. You guys, well, I've heard of it many a time. As we touched on last week, Brandon has told me the story a few times of how there was some mistaken identity revolving around these two Skeleton Key films and some reviews he did and whatever. So I certainly heard about it. I had basically zero interest in watching it. If he had played it up more as a Virginia homegrown film, which I think you said was the case,
Yep.
I would be more interested. I probably would have gone into it with more interest. So it's kind of unfortunate that you didn't play that up more. But
well, the others are also in Virginia, in that area, same area. So
what's
you
that?
you can actually start looking for the other three, as they're all in that same Virginia area.
Good to know. So basically, for those who follow our side projects, some of you may know last week on SeptumSin versus the World, we covered a sentimental favorite of mine, Pony Pony Dash, where the reception from the rest of the group was relatively brutal. They called it, I'm paraphrasing here, but Brandon can help me out. Essentially, I got the impression that I was the only one of the four who found it particularly funny. Everyone agreed that it was at times meandering, at times felt pointless. That some of the humor fell very flat, even painfully so. There was at least one character who exists solely to be a racial stereotype. And it's just plain fucking weird. And I was watching this movie going, wow, everything I had to suffer from everyone else piling on my show absolutely applies to my viewing of this movie. And part of it also is I am undergoing a very serious crisis of identity right now as a movie geek, and finding it difficult to want to watch movies I really want to see, let alone ones I have no interest in. So watching this movie was a slog from start to finish. I was amused by parts of it. I did like The Invisible Man. Once the plot, such as it is, kicks into high gear, I was actually kind of interested in parts of it. I kind of liked the main villain. I thought he was kind of amusing. But the fact that the movie had not one but two characters who were basically walking racial stereotypes, the fact that you had that annoying as fuck narrator who keeps watching the movie in his bathroom until he gets to be in the movie. Oh my God, I hated that character. The fact that the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde character also had an annoyingly high-pitched voice for the Doctor persona. Luckily, there was not the level of schlocky gore that I was expecting. I don't know why I was expecting that, but this one definitely went for schlock, but luckily that was not one of the major factors, and I give it that. But yeah, it was a mixed bag. And I was watching the clock from 5 minutes into the movie. it was at least 30 minutes longer than it should have been. Yeah. I guess I'm glad I saw it. I'm probably going to try to make it through the series. I believe Brandon has said it gets better, and I hope he's correct about that. And now that I know it's a Virginia series, I am more interested, because I am interested in seeing what has been produced here in the state. But if I had watched this a year ago, I think I would have enjoyed it so much better. And the fact that I watched it when I did, right after what happened last week with Pawnee Pawnee, it was almost amusing, the timing, but it was kind of weird.
Well, there is one standout difference between the Pawnee Pony and the Skeleton Key, at least for the first three.
Yeah, that series is good.
Well, at least you liked Pawnee Pony.
I did. I did.
I could not say the same for me in Skeleton Key, or Skeleton Key 2, or Skeleton Key 3.
Incidentally, I usually change my icons. I didn't want to be bothered looking for one for this movie, so I still have Ichijo-san from Pawnee Pony, and that seems appropriate.
So here's something. I'm reading Sherlock Holmes over again. Okay, and the first meeting between well, not first. Once they're actually settled into the Baker Street apartment, Watson gets all excited about telling him all about the solar system. And after he realizes that Sherlock Holmes has not even heard of the Copernicus theory of the solar system, his reaction was, and I quote, now I will completely forget it. Completely forget that you even told me that. And Watson was like, why? It's one of the most important things in the universe. Yeah, but your mind is more like a brain addict. And if you fill your head with all these minute things instead of the more important things, then, so I feel like that's more like your reaction.
Well, I have an interesting tale to tell about my first experience with Skeleton, which this is not it. Matter of fact, I had reviewed the entire series, and I was not very kind to 3 out of the 4 films. I have a friend who is a mutual friend to the group who once said that he believes that nobody should review any films unless they have made at least one film themselves. And while I 100% disagree with that, because you can come from the point of view of watching a film to talk to other people who are only going to watch the film, but I also understand the concept of coming to a film after having done the work to try and put something out there. And though Amityville Webcam is not a good film by any length of the imagination, it was a film, and it was one that I very much put a lot of effort into. So I wanted to come back to this series because I do respect the creator of the series. I also respect the fact that he values, sort of like how Dave has so many people who value Wisconsin as far as filmmaking is concerned. We don't have that as much in Virginia. We do have it, but it's nowhere near as in-depth as some of these other ones. We don't have like 20 and 30 films like they do. But so this is very near and dear to my heart in that way. The fact that he tends to have his home base around Charlottesville, Virginia, which is an area I know pretty well. Also, a lot of filming in Staunton and Waynesboro, Virginia, which I'm also very familiar. and even filming in Richmond, Virginia, and Virginia Beach, which I'm not as familiar with Virginia Beach, but definitely Richmond. So that alone drove me back to this creator and wanting to give it a second chance. Because it's been 7 years since I've watched this. I actually timed it back because I looked at the original video. I actually did these reviews during the very first year of my channel. I was introduced to Skeleton Key because I saw that there was a Skeleton Key 2, and I watched the Skeleton Key movie that we did last week, and I thought, oh my goodness, they made a sequel. And it's highly out of print. And then I came across a copy that was $17, and I said, okay, I'm getting this. Even to this day, Skeleton Key 2 is extreme. 2 and 3 are both highly out of print. And I think when I was talking with Dave originally, I was still trying to get a hold of 3. Because at the time that I was trying to get into this, Skeleton Key 3 Part 2 was still very much in print, and so was the original. But, and by the way, if you do want to get a copy of the brain damage one, this particular one is much more easy to find on places like eBay. You can usually get it for about $25. And it has a good amount of special features and such. But yeah, watching the second film, I was like, this doesn't even look like it references the first film. I mean, I want to know what happens after the person was possessed at the end of the movie. What's going on? And then I realized that it was a different Skeleton Key series. And that was the beginning of my journey. I thought it was chaotic. I didn't think it was boring per se, but I thought it was too chaotic. I thought, this is highly unscripted. There's no way this was scripted out. And I was right, by the way. The entire thing was improv. While I thought some of the makeup and effects were kind of cool, I was not very impressed by the whole of it. And yes, the stereotypes did bother me as well. So I actually will look at this and say I wanted to try it a second time. Knowing what I was getting into and trying to put myself into a better headspace for my second watch through did help me tremendously. I liked the film more. I was able to follow it better. And I was prepared for a lot of the craziness I was going to encounter. So, though I may not love the film, I think that it's a film that I'm okay with at this point. We'll talk more about the stereotypes and stuff as we go forward. And shoot, if you look at the cast, some of the cast actually has some decent credits to their names. The guy who plays Cornelius actually has been in things like How I Met Your Mother and what was the other one? How I Met Your Mother, Criminal Minds, Beyond Borders, Shameless. So he's had a number of credits and does a lot of voice work. So just as a heads up on that one. All right.
His name looked kind of familiar.
And in all fairness to him, he is Indian.
Right. So
at least it's somebody from the country playing the stereotype of the person from the country.
And I will admit, I got a mild chuckle when he finally does speak English and you realize that he could have been doing so all along.
Yeah.
It kind of did. Yeah.
And according to what he had said, he was the one behind a lot of those jokes. Which apparently did play well with some Indian audiences. Apparently, there are parts he's actually speaking in Hindi. So, as interesting as it is, and some of the special features he introduced in Hindi.
All right. So he actually was speaking Hindi. It was kind of hard to tell.
For some of it, at least, I know.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you for the whole of it because it didn't sound like it, but
yeah.
I actually dove a little bit deeper into the film this time. So let's go ahead and, speaking of diving, let's dive in and just ram through this bad boy.
Yeah.
So we have actually one of the, I don't know if y'all, actually no, most of y'all watch the copy I helped provide because it's very hard to find this film.
Yeah.
But they actually have an introduction. The introduction is done by a man who actually was in every Ed Wood film. They actually found him living in a trailer park in West Virginia. So some fun stuff there. And there's a lot of Ed Wood inspiration that you were talking about Troll 2, but also Ed Wood was a huge inspiration to John Johnson.
Okay.
I love the Darkstar. I also like the Darkstones logo that they did with the weapons and little beagle puppy all around. But of course, it then goes into the opening, which kind of looks like a cheesy Halloween special from the late 90s, if you know what I mean. Something that you would see at a WNUF, a matter of fact. Which I was told was actually computer rendered and animated in about 3 months. But what did y'all think of that little like CG opener?
You talking about the opening credit sequence?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
But like I say, they spent 3 months creating that. So
I found the song amusing.
yes, the song is an earworm.
Yeah.
I found myself humming it the rest of the day.
And if you listen to the words too, it's like they're laughing while you're listening to it. Yeah, I like the song. It was fun.
That song's been around a minute, hasn't it?
I don't know. I mean, some of the stuff is definitely original.
Well, yeah. The rap at the end is obviously original because they're saying what happened in the movie.
Actually, I don't know. Well, you didn't see the video, but it was actually recorded in an area that I'm also familiar with. I went there in Scouts. That's at a very high location. I'm not sure why you would want to record rap video up there, but hey, it's another interesting hike in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it's called Devil's Backbone. Is that right?
I've been on Devil's Backbone, yeah. Or no, wait. Where is this you're talking about?
This is in Virginia. This is
Devil's Backbone. I mean, well, there's the brewery is Devil's Backbone, but
I can't think of the name of it. It's like a spine of rocks that's up there.
Are you talking about Dragon Tooth?
It's over near. It's over in my neck of the woods, but I can't think of the name of it. Oh, well.
It may be Devil's Backbone, but I'm drawing a blank on that.
But essentially, though, we cut into, of course, a lovely individual that Jacob loves the most, and I'm sure will mark as his favorite character in the film. Gets this after working at the video store and decides he's going to go and watch it in his favorite place to watch films, where he's got his TV set up on the toilet and he likes to sit in the bathtub apparently and watch.
As you do.
As you do, yeah. What are y'all's thoughts about this character? We've heard Jacob's thoughts.
I thought he was annoying as fuck too.
And it wasn't, I mean, he was annoying from just in general, but that voice, oh my God, it was like
all throughout the movie too.
Yeah.
Quite dorky. Who sits and watches a movie in their bathtub?
You know, that's something they thought of like last minute. This is the This is that improv at work.
This has got lazy written all over it.
Well, I mean, the whole thing was, what's kind of funny is in my review, I watched my old review to just to see how I thought about it. It was actually kind of funny because there were a lot of things that I was just taking guesses at that apparently I nailed like dead center. And I guess that's why the director was originally kind of amused by the original review, because I was getting a lot of things like right there from not even watching any of the behind the scenes stuff. But apparently, yeah, that it was not scripted at all, that there were like some general stuff, and they were told this is what's going on, and then they interacted in that way. So, I could see them saying, yeah, let's set up, let's have him sit in the bathroom, the bathtub. That'll be funny. But we get to see him, we get to see our main character, played by John Johnson, waking up after a rough night and having the most lovely breakfast of champions that he painstakingly describes to us.
Yeah, and I love the detail of he pulled it out of the microwave with the metal spoon in the cup. And I'm like,
it was sparking this.
Don't try this at home.
There's like SpaghettiOs and lots of cheese and bacon that you cook before you put on.
Which I'll be, aside from the fact that SpaghettiOs are shit, it almost sounds like something I probably would have enjoyed back in the day. But again, I don't know about that prep methodology he had.
Yeah. He comes across as a private eye in a lot of ways, but he's a reporter for a tabloid, and he says, "I'm going to go get my cameraman Cornelius."
A tabloid headquartered in the back of a pizza place.
Yes. I did find it interesting that he found his cameraman was just hanging around in the DC subway system. And the whole thing about him doing this weird monologue on love and sex as he's going down the elevator into the metro is actually taken from the DC Metro. But that thing is kind of weird that he found his friend. Actually, no, he didn't find him there originally. Like, picked him up there, but that he did go back to that apartment where he was sitting there eating curry, as you do, I guess, as the guy is supposedly only speaking Hindi. After he picks up his cameraman, they go by the pizza shop, which apparently is a pizza shop over in Waynesboro or Stanton. I can't remember which one. It was in one of those two. They're so damn close to each other. Well, relatively so. That apparently they kept letting them film there, so they just kept coming back there to film various things and projects. But yeah, apparently the pizza parlor guy is also the owner of the tabloid and sends them to find the 5-legged, 2-headed goat. So what are y'all thoughts of our, I guess, the 3 characters we've introduced so far?
Well, I actually was amused by the non-speaking English cameraman. I thought it was actually kind of hilarious. I guess I do, and I don't see why you guys are kind of offended about the racial characters in here, which we'll get to later. But I was amused by him and our cabbie driver, which we'll eventually get to. I'll just say that right offhand. So I was just amused because in this time and day, in the directors of Fence, that's not what it was meant. But that being said, I do like the character of Howard. He does seem to be an honest character, somewhat a likable character to a certain extent, and I do think that John Johnson actually does know how to act. So
Yeah, I thought he played it pretty smooth as far as things went.
I will admit it was one of the stronger performances. And Howard, he had to grow on me a little bit, but he was easy enough to root for, I guess you could say.
He was the least over the top character.
What's that?
He was the least over the top character.
He was definitely a point of reference for people who are not insane.
Although he was very athletic.
Okay.
Yeah, I found that he took a lot of the falls and everything. Really, a lot.
Yeah.
So.
They did a lot of work to get what they had done, and this is one of the things I do find. I guess that's one of the things I find worthwhile in watching these types of films is the amount of effort and creativity that have gone into them, despite maybe what might seem to be on the surface, is a lot, and there is a lot of imagination involved. So, it is just something cool, and then something that not many people get to see as well. It's very sad to see media like this fall into total obscurity. But we do continue on. He does a scene that kind of reminds me of a scene right out of Resident Evil 2, where he's going in, 4. It is 4. Where he's like talking to this dude who turns out to be dead, and there's this box that is labeled to Nilbog, which then explodes with a zombie who ends up basically biting our hero Howard.
Did you mention why they were there in the first place?
To look up that goat.
Yeah.
They were tracking down a lead on the goat, which
I couldn't remember if you said that. Yeah.
So, and this kicks off all the weird stuff that happens. As our guy has said in there, it's like, oh my God, he's been bitten by a zombie. Yeah, I can't even do the voice like he does. Like when a zombie bites them, they normally turn to a zombie, but this might be different. Yeah. But this causes them to flee the area and has them take an interest in Nilbog itself because of what was on that package. But unfortunately, Howard does have a bit of a stowaway that's hooked onto his mind in the form of the demon.
Evil.
With evil.
Yeah.
I like the makeup on the guy.
Yeah. That was a character that was more often than not just annoying.
And his character name is actually Evil.
Yeah. Yeah. There were a couple parts I liked. Like I liked the part later where Howard was having some fun with Sandy and the guy was sitting there eating popcorn with his feet literally propped on the bed. I thought that was kind of amusing. But most of the time, he just,
He had some parts. Like I liked when they were driving along, he was just constantly taunting him from the side of the road as they were going.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
The taunting where he would just keep going, I think they drug that into the ground.
Well, that's due to not having a script, in my opinion.
Well, at least partly. The editing could have helped with that too.
Well, yeah, if they edited a good portion of the film. I think if the film was only like an hour and 20 or something like that, it probably would have.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, the movie was at least, well, I think I said 40 minutes too long, but yeah, 20 minutes would have definitely made a difference.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he ends up finding out that this evil guy can actually control him by dunking his face in the toilet.
Yeah.
Apparently with an active turd in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, evil literally was taking the piss on Howard.
So,
say.
and that comes back, and I'll admit, that is something that does make a comeback later in the movie. So I'll give it that. And so he basically tells the pizza guy, I am going to Nilbog, and pizza guy is like, you better bring me my goat. So he takes the trip over to Nilbog and is picked up by the cabbie, which is a stereotype character. The guy plays a guy from Haiti who is, talking about like, just Haiti things with an accent that is definitely not Haitian.
Right. It felt like a bad Jamaican accent.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Yeah. It almost looked like he was dressing more Jamaican too, but
Yeah,
might have been wrong with that. But.
I think they made a joke that he was going for Jamaican by accident. And this is where this kind of thing can be offensive, is when it looks like you're basically dumping on another culture. That can be there. And this did look like it was dumping on Haitian culture.
Yeah.
It may not have been intentionally dumping on it, but it did look like it was. Whereas the guy who's from India, because he is from there, I always look at that. If you're from there and you are from that culture, then you can make fun of yourself. You're welcome to make fun of your own culture if you want to do that. That's everybody's prerogative. I mean, shoot, when I see a film that's directed by a person who is from the city and they are writing redneck characters, I get slightly offended by that.
Right.
Because, again, they don't make white redneck characters in the positive. Now, if it's some white dude from the South writing and making fun of redneck characters, fine. That's that prerogative. I just look at it as that can be very offensive to a lot of people. It's
like Jeff Foxworthy could say anything he wanted to about rednecks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I just look at it like that. It's one of the reasons why I think that Rain Man is potentially a very offensive caricature, because that's not really what the spectrum looks like. It's only like one minute section of it, but it represented everybody on that. And that actually has me thinking about it now. These days, as opposed to when I watched it back in the day and thought, oh, this is hilarious.
Yeah, I've seen Rain Man on a list of on multiple lists of movies people are rethinking. But yeah, it's interesting.
But again, it's all relative. Let's see here. Yeah, it makes him dance in the hotel. He wakes up. It's also interesting when some of the sizable interactions he makes with the demon, it's in black and white, which kind of indicates almost a dream sequence, which happens a couple of times. Another piece of the puzzle when they land, just as a heads up, mainly for Jacob, that airport that they land at is actually in Waynesboro.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I have been there. I have not taken a plane from there. But
I don't think I've been to that airport. I've been to the Roanoke one and the Richmond one, but I don't think I've been to the Waynesboro. Well, except to maybe drop by.
But yeah, I find it is interesting when you recognize when you can recognize land.
Right.
And I'll continue to look for that as we're going through the series. There were a couple of things I recognized here and there, actually, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
And when Mo was actually doing his little thing about like local stuff, I almost picked this film for that.
Right.
Oh, yes. Here's a good example of a line. It's like, I don't like the boonies because they have rednecks. Because they have rednecks there and they smell like beef. I don't know why. I
did like they smell like beef.
They arrived at Nilbog, population 9, which was over a really cool looking covered bridge. I don't know where that one is, but that is a very cool. I know that they got in trouble with the police for filming there. Using the covered bridge as the barrier between Nilbog's evil and reality is a really cool thing. It's been used before, but I think it's a cool concept.
Mm-hmm.
And when they get there, they are immediately ambushed by zombies. And they unfortunately leave the cab door open and on as they flee. Which, by the way, the zombies definitely must not be a part of the population because they definitely outnumbered 9.
Yeah.
I'm guessing maybe it was 9 monsters and the doctor. I don't know.
Well, there were the party guests. If all of them were residents, that was what, maybe 7, 8? I'm not sure.
So, and of course, Nilbog spelled backwards is goblin, which was the reference in Troll 2. So, what do the rest of y'all think of our cab driver and the whole entrance to Nilbog?
I like the puppy dog.
Oh yeah, I forgot he had a dog.
Yeah, he did. He had that dog on that weird harness, like
it's a baby harness.
Pretty much, yeah.
You hook your toddler to it. So I thought it was really weird too.
Yeah, he had the harness on himself, but not on the dog.
Right. I'll admit I'm not a big dog person, but that was a good looking dog. Yeah.
Was it in the film that the guy actually decided he was going to disguise himself as another dog or something like that? And he invented, maybe it wasn't, but it's like where he invented a contraption to hook the tail to. It's like, man, I don't know why they didn't have anything to hook tail. And it's actually a butt plug. Was that this?
I don't think so.
I don't remember anything about a butt plug in this one. I
Maybe
could have blocked it from my memory, but
maybe it was the behind the scenes. I could see them doing that in this.
I think it was funny when the three of them got together, though, because they just made it. They're gonna run this way, run that way, and go this. I
was gonna say they split up immediately as soon as they left.
I think that's one of the issues I had is if this was a serious horror film, these characters would have died so many times. They did almost everything wrong. Almost everything, which I guess works if it's a comedy, but
This section of the film essentially was introducing all the various monsters
yeah.
individually. I mean, the first one was the beautiful woman.
Well, the first one was the
witch.
zombies.
Well, yeah, but I mean, when they separated,
Yeah.
it was, I think it was Joe that came, not Joe, Howard that came in with the witch. Was it him? I don't remember, but somebody came in. It was a witch, and then she took the form of a beautiful woman.
It was the
It was the cameraman.
it was Cornelius who fell for the ruse, and she had some weird, I'm guessing, troll or something.
It was a troll.
and Howard had to deal with that. Yeah.
But they got away. The
And
cab driver had a very small encounter with the vampires. He was like, nope, and then left as soon as
right. And then they found the Spider Woman, right?
Yeah, that was when they all got right back together, and then they sent Howard to investigate downstairs.
Yeah, that became their new thing. Instead of everyone splitting up, they just sent Howard.
Yep. Which I actually did find that amusing. Because they had to basically, they all got basically stuck. And it was the dog that saved their butt from her. Not before she got a bite in down under.
Yeah.
So then he's dealing with 2 bites.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also where but that's also when they go to the next stop, which is the Halloween party that they run into with the one kid and the rest all together with the leprechaun guy, and the rest are women in sexy costumes. Mm-hmm. They also are introduced to the Invisible Man, who just sings that song to himself.
Right.
I like the Invisible Man.
So do I.
I think he's my favorite character.
Well, and he's also one of the few monsters that gets spared. Like, he just, everyone sees he's pretty much harmless, and they
Want some chicken nuggets?
But they do that. They try to wait out the zombies, but I guess they decide not to when they burst through the door.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Because the demon is kind of, the evil is making him question himself and making Howard look like he's a bit crazy. And on the Invisible Man, one thing that I did find funny comment that was made by Annoying Guy was, wait, when he bathes, how does he know where to clean? But
they do end up split up in that house before they have to deal with the zombies again, right? And wasn't that
when they found the Invisible Man?
Well, I think, was it Cornelius that came across him? But I know he was the one that came across him later and spared him.
Yeah,
I think. But wasn't this also when Howard ended up hooking up with Sandy?
Actually, they hooked up, and while they were trying to wait out the zombies.
Right. As you do.
As you do. A very quick one, especially when she was also like, she had that same malaise he did about love.
Yeah. Which only made him like her more,
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And like I said, we have that scene where they're getting it on, and Evil's just sitting there with his foot propped up on the bed, just sitting there eating popcorn, having a go.
And that's why Evil's my favorite character. For some reason, he just loved to mess with Howard a lot.
Well, he's evil.
Yeah.
So the cab driver finds a shotgun, so he changes his mind from let's wait them out to let's blow them away, even though it loads only one shot at a time, which I'm sorry, but that's not very effective when you're fighting a crowd of zombies, unless they're really close together.
Right.
And then you need to make sure you have buckshot in that bad boy, because otherwise, if you're just using slugs, you're still only killing one at a time.
Right.
But he bursts out the door, which ends up killing a lot of the party goers.
Yeah.
I think the only ones that were left living after that was the leprechaun, two of the sexy costume girls, and the girl that Howard's interested
They
in.
friggin' sent the kid ahead almost as a sacrifice.
Yeah, it's like, go look, they're safe.
Yeah. Man.
I think a lot of them died. Which they do come back later as zombies as they
Yep.
Let's see here. And on the run, I think it was just Howard again that meets Mr. Sniffles.
Was that before or after they had to deal with the guy on the court king or whatever his name was?
That was the king was the last thing that they did there. Because they didn't introduce Dr. Cornelius until like until the very end.
Right.
So yeah, he briefly runs into Mr. Sniffles, which seems like he's just this nice guy with this high voice. And then he goes back to this violence.
Sniffles was the Hyde character.
Oh, sorry, Sniffles was that. Dr. Kubert was the doctor,
right.
And Mr. Sniffles was the interesting name for a demonic guy.
Right. It reminded me of your character, Mr. Snuffy.
That was George's character.
Oh, that was George's character. That was
Snuffy the assassin.
Yes. Good name for an assassin.
You know what? I will actually differ with Jacob on this one. I don't know why, but that character amused me.
Well, he kind of amused me. And he ended up, if I remember correctly, he ended up surviving. Like, they ended up working with him rather than killing him. But I don't know. Again, the whole
editing on that one.
I guess it was just the whole idea of something rubbed me the wrong way about the character being really high voiced when he was the good guy. It was amusing later with the musical number.
Yes, very much so. We'll get to that when we come back to Nilbog.
Yeah.
Actually, I also found it very interesting is that in that they all get trapped in that entranceway when you had zombies on one side and Mr. Sniffles on the other side, and they decided, you know what, let's just deal with the zombies and not. And
yeah, they definitely dealt with zombies a different way.
And that's where we meet the king, who is an interesting character, dressed in a tutu and with a dildo in hand. Do not.
Yeah, at least he didn't play. At least he didn't play football with it.
Yeah, that's when they do end up actually not beating him, but they manage to get away from him and across the bridge. And that's when you introduce that's when the doctor character is introduced.
Well, and also Sandy gets taken away by the king of the court. So.
Yeah, Dr. Knox, who is the true villain in this. But yeah, the king and Dr. Knox take hold of, is it Sandy? And the two sexy characters. And the ones getting away are, of course, the leprechaun, and our three heroes. Oh, and they get the dog. They take the dog hostage. And I find it weird. It's like, so you come back here to try and save them? Nah, we're good. They end up going. It's like, man, really heroic guy.
Right.
And that ends up having at least the two sexy costume wearers become vampires because of that. Let's see here. I'm just looking there. So they end up going back. The leprechaun, it turns out that he was bitten and he gets taken over completely by the evil and becomes a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
Has a fight with Howard. Beats the crap out of Howard, who is somehow saved
He
by
straight up raises him in the air and throws him off balance.
Yeah, but he gets lucky because his friends Cornelius and the Haitian guy end up coming to his aid and end up staking him. I think they used just like a blunt, like a little tree branch to do it, which to me is almost as funny as when in what was it, the Sievert film Death a Lantern, where the guy gets stabbed through the heart with a candle.
Well, later, when they're killing the sexy vampires, the one guy just tosses a mop that somehow manages to go through her heart. It's like, yeah, no, he did not have the power behind that.
Yeah.
grip.
I'm sorry, but he would have had to at least break it in half to make it even seem like I could,
Yeah.
believe it.
His annoying voice made it sharper.
Yeah.
I noticed he used the dull end.
Which is funny. While he's watching that film, he sees on the film that he is being taken by the three to come with him. And then they go confront their pizza boss, who they basically get to bankroll their effort to return. I did forget that there was an internal struggle that that Howard had to go through, where the evil guy basically had a face-off between return yes and return no, and then they had some weird kind of dubbed martial arts fight to see who it would be whether it would be going back or not. And I did find that amusing.
Yeah,
But,
that was a little bit amusing. And the pizza boss dude, he had a girl that was working for him that you knew she was doing something under the table.
Well, they made it pretty obvious. And then
Quite
she runs out
literally
with her
under
boobs
the table.
And then she comes out in the end with her boobs covered in like whipped cream.
Yeah.
There was definitely a lot of topless shots during this.
Yep. Which I have no problem with.
Yes, I approve.
But they do decide to go back to Nilbog, but this time they were prepared with lots of weapons. And they just go on a straight killing spree, killing off pretty much all the monsters that screwed with them prior in the first half. Except for the Invisible Man, which the guy watching TV is like, no, don't do that. He was good to you. Somehow he listens, so I was like, yeah, you're right. He didn't do anything to me. He just goes back on singing his song, doing nothing, not hurting nobody.
I like how they just give him a pocket knife.
Yeah. A Swiss Army knife. You could do some damage with a Swiss Army knife up close. But yeah, I think one of them has like Cornelius had like a samurai sword, and I can't think of what oh yeah, and the cab driver had grenades and he was lobbing at everybody. Matter of fact, that's how Spider-Girl died. He was lobbed down the stairs. And they had annoying guy kill the vampires, as you had said, the two with their. I did find it interesting that he's going there. He makes the vampire queen retreat, and she's laying there in the bed, and there's just a mallet with a stake there. He's like, "Why do you have these?"
Probably the best lines for him in the movie.
That would be my thought too. It's like, what?
Although when I was thinking of his voice, I was thinking of the gingerbread man in Shrek. So,
you know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of that character Fred.
Who?
You know, the one that we used to make fun of the movies of, like Night of the Living Fred, and
Oh, right.
yeah, I've watched a little bit of his stuff, and they always have him talking like the super high voice like that.
Yeah.
This tells me he's like, I can't understand how this dude got so popular. He's annoying as hell. I couldn't even stand more than 5 minutes of him.
So, like our oft-discussed movie of Phantom Fred that has never been made, apparently. Yes.
Also, the Dr. Kubert does create a potion to get rid of the evil, which he does take, which Howard does take, and it looks like he kills the dude. But then we snap to a love song that he's singing to the girl in the rain with Dr. Kubert, and then later on Mr. Sniffles serenading with the guitar.
Yeah.
It does.
That
even
part kind of amused me, kind of, because
I mean, yeah, it actually amused me for the fact that he nailed him in the balls, not because he was just trying to destroy him, but because he wanted his voice to be up higher to that octave for that part of the song. What did the rest of y'all think of the serenade?
Like I said, it did amuse me.
Very disjointed, though.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It was funny.
Because we go right back to it. He's in the custody of the doctor still. The doctor has the ability to make pretty much whatever he wants, whatever he says happen. Like, you catch fire here. And it supposedly happens.
One thing I will admit is that the use of music overall was quite amusing. I think they did decently with that. The evil doctor. Wasn't it like when he was getting ready to tell his backstory? I think he said something like, "I used to be Scottish" or something.
Yeah.
I just thought that was kind of funny. I was like, "What? Used to be, huh?"
Apparently, he got his powers from a meteor that he mixed with 1 part H2O, then 2 parts, then 3 parts. So basically, he just took a piece of the meteor and dumped a bunch of water on it.
Well, didn't he say 4 parts and then 2 parts? But basically, it's like, so the total is 6 parts. I'm like, okay.
Like the meteor that was like humongous and it crushed his friends. So you have all these pieces like attached to this humongous rock.
And you find that he's the one who basically made all the monsters in town. And then he summons this like weird lightning thing that they use to take them out. I do find it odd with the doctor. One of the lines he says, "Leave here now, and I will rape her gently." I mean, what the heck?
Yeah, like that makes it better.
And the hero that saves the day is annoying guy.
Of course. What did they call him?
Mm.
It was something like, I don't want to say the chosen one, but like
he was the chosen one, supposedly.
They had a phrase for it. I can't remember. I don't know.
Was it Neil?
Well, Neil, I think, was his name. But like they had a phrase they used to refer to him. I can't remember what it was.
It's just kind of funny how that goes. That the most annoying guy was the one who saved the day at the end.
Hmm.
And then the doctor tries to run away in the cab, which apparently was pre-bombed. Which, of course, then blew up, and everybody, they saved the day. So we were able to still have our trio.
Okay, so IMDb has the Invisible Man song in the quotes section. I'm invisible. That's the opposite of visible. You can't see me with your eyeball because I'm invisible. So if you want to take a peek, go ahead. There's nothing to see. We can be as naked as can be. You'll get the felony and I'll go free. I did like that part. Although I don't think it's a felony in Virginia, at least in most cases. Probably depends on where you are.
It is interesting that Nilbog is in Virginia in this particular one.
Right.
But there does seem to be a lot of respect for Virginia total.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much Skeleton Key. Part 1. Part 1 of 4. Did you all have any last thoughts about the plot before we move on? All right. Well, we shall move on. Production design. This was a low budget feature. In case any of y'all thought differently, it was made for $6,000, and apparently John Johnson paid that all out of his own pocket. He really wanted to make this film. He had made 2 other iterations of Skeleton Key. But this one is probably by far the one that he recognizes the most. I thought that the production value overall, considering the budget, was actually not bad. You had a number of locations. Now, admittedly, they utilized guerrilla filmmaking.
Yeah.
To film in most of these. But the locations were all over the state. I mean, it went all over the place. I just included Richmond, Charlottesville, and Waynesboro as highlights because those are the ones that were there. The original part.
Yeah, IMDb listed one site in West Virginia, listed DC, listed couple. I think there were 6 or so they listed for Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know that the apartment that the Indian guy that Cornelius was in was a friend of theirs in Staunton.
Okay.
So a lot of locations.
Well,
cool. Like that covered bridge was really cool.
Okay, so IMDb says Washington D.C., Falling Waters, West Virginia, Buckingham, Charlottesville, Crozet, Newmarket, Richmond, and Waynesboro in Virginia. So I guess they don't list Stan. So I guess that could be a one that they missed. So yeah, that's a good number.
If you know it, they're almost all along that 64 corridor, except for DC and the West Virginia one. The West Virginia one was where they found that dude that was in the Ed Wood movies.
Okay.
So in the DC one, well, that was the scene that he was doing for the Metro at the beginning.
Well, yeah, definitely. If you're going like west to east, Stanton is right where 81 turns into 64. You got Waynesboro, Crozet, and Charlottesville are all in pretty quick succession.
Shoot, Stanton's not that far from Waynesboro if you look at it, because Waynesboro is on the other side of Afton.
And
In fact,
Newmarket
I
and
think so,
Buckingham are just. I think Newmarket and Buckingham are just to the south.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a pretty tight area. I mean, yeah, it takes hours to drive to these places, but
yeah,
they're not that far comparatively.
yeah. It'd be kind of a cool place to film, I think. Cool general area.
I thought the makeup and effects were not that bad
Mhm.
for what you've got. I mean, I thought the costume design on the evil guy actually looked really good. But what do y'all think as far as the makeup, costume design, effects?
I thought they
the
did pretty
costume
good
guy.
with what they had to work with. So, you know, there was, like you said, they had lots of different locations, and you know, um, obviously this is not a movie that's got a lot of special effects or things like that in it. So I think with the budget they had to work with, they did pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. And obviously the dog was animatronic because it was way too well behaved to be a real dog.
Haha.
That was
I thought the evil guy's dress was pretty good. Good, like Brandon said.
Well, it took them like 3 hours in makeup. Right.
yeah. Wow.
Well,
It was a lot of red. Then you
Yeah.
had the horns and all of that. So, and of course, they painted on those spider webs for the Spider Woman.
Yeah.
well,
So-
I know that was Debbie Rashawn.
So when I look at this stuff, and this is one of the things I do like to look at these films for, and this is why I do think that it matters to highlight low budget films like this, is the amount of effort they had to go into making this particular film is a lot more than the effort to go into other films with higher budgets. I mean, they had to make do with stuff to be creative, whereas something like, say, Weta and Lord of the Rings, yeah, they put a lot of effort into it, but they had all the resources in the world to get what they wanted.
That's kind of why I like a lot of the older, like horror films and stuff, the black and white ones and stuff too, because they didn't have all this technology. So if they're gonna, now if you look at some of them, okay, you might see the string making the bat move, okay, but that's how they had to do it then. They didn't have the technology like we have now to make a bat appear or move. It's I like That's why I like a lot of them, because they had to use their imagination to make things happen. You know.
Well, I mean, George Méliès, which is one of the first filmmakers. We even covered Hugo, which was a kind of a ode to him. I mean, the fact of the matter is he produced probably some of the earliest color films, and how they did it was by painting each of the frames individually. And then on top of that, we also had some of the earliest versions of effects. I think when we covered L'Inferno on this channel many moons ago, I remember talking about how amazing it is to look at these effects, because the film, though it came out in 2015, that wouldn't be very good in 2015. 1915.
Yeah. You're only off 100 years.
Actually, no. The film was earlier than that. Actually.
Yeah, wasn't that 2011 or not 20? You got me doing it. Like 1911 or something like that.
Let's see, L'Inferno. 1911. So, in 1911, they were able to still do the effects of like the guy's head coming off and stuff like that. It's amazing what creativity. So, to me, I think that kind of spirit is still alive in these low budget films, especially when they use practical effects like that. So, I have nothing but praises for the production design on this. Anything else on production?
Oh well, I know the original cabin that they went to kind of reminded me of like Evil Dead vibes, just a little bit. The one where they were supposed to find the goat at.
Well, there's definitely Evil Dead stuff going on too. I'm sure that had some bearing on this. So, I guess music. The music had some catchy songs, a couple of earworms, a couple of original songs. I particularly like the Skeleton Key song where they even make fun of it, saying like, no, what was it? Was it Kate Blanchett in the original one that we watched?
No, was
Kate
there an actual skeleton?
Kate Hudson.
Kate Hudson.
Used in this movie, or did it have anything to do with the storyline?
I don't even know if there wasn't a Skeleton Key in Skeleton Key, this movie. And I know that it had nothing to do with that movie because the original incarnation of this story was, with this title, by the way, was in 1997, which definitely predates the Kate Hudson film. I do like that the song actually uses Kate Hudson will not be skeleton. So, but it had some okay sound music that they threw in there. I do think that little song that they played at the beginning and the end was definitely an earworm. Because I was humming that after watching it the rest of the day.
It's catchy. It's kind of nursery rhymish.
The worm's crawling, the worm's crawling. Now, would I buy this on a CD? No. Would I find it amusing to listen to the soundtrack one time through? Yes.
Yeah.
So I'd say probably, I would say not only does the soundtrack fit it, but maybe one step above that, but not quite the number above that I would buy it and want it in my collection. What about the rest of y'all?
I liked I definitely liked the that song at the beginning and the end. Yes, it was very catchy. I mean, I was listening to the words of it as it was coming up, and I'm like, did they say that really? And I was just laughing, while it's doing the intro, and then when it came out at the end, I was like, oh, it's on again. So I like the Invisible Man song too.
Well, that's Skeleton Key, Part 1. So we'll come back, of course, next week with Part 2, which is even rarer than this one. As I said, this one is out of print, unfortunately, but is available to purchase. You can still find a DVD copy of this. Actually, this particular one with this cover that you're seeing in the background. For about $25.
And right now, this particular movie is playing on Fossum TV as streaming. So,
which
we came across it on that streaming site, and in fact, it gave Tammy another app to download so that she can watch more at work.
What was the name of the site?
It's a streaming app called Fossum TV.
Okay.
You can also just watch it straight on their channel too, but it's called FossumTV.com.
So of course I will be of course helping y'all access the second film, because the second film is also very hard to find elsewhere. When we get to the end, though, it's going to be very not so bad, actually. But let's go ahead with our last bits here, which I guess favorite scene, favorite character, and I think we're going to just, as far as the extra question, I'm going to ask low budget questions for each one of these because this is a definitely low budget film. In case you didn't figure. But what would be your favorite low budget comedy film? So I guess we'll start with Jake. Hello?
Who'd you say?
You.
Okay, I didn't hear it.
So yeah, favorite scene, favorite character, and favorite low budget comedy.
Favorite scene. Probably going to be that scene that I mentioned before where dude's getting it on with Sandy and Evil's sitting there eating the popcorn. I don't know. That just amused me. Maybe also the serenade sequence with him and the Dr. Snuffles character. I just thought that was kind of funny, and a fun use of music. Far as favorite characters, I guess it's got to be Howard, honestly. There weren't any standout favorites. I'd probably give Howard this slight edge if I had to pick one. It's much easier to pick a least favorite. Neil was easily my least favorite. It's not even
I don't know if anybody loves Neil as a character.
Yeah. As far as my favorite. Yeah,
you've got a couple that I know have amused you.
Yeah, in all probability, I'm going to have to go with The Gamers as my favorite low-budget comedy, although Press Start's pretty damn good, too. I will say this. I'll just go ahead and throw this out there since it's probably in the spirit of what you're talking about tonight. I am a Kickstarter backer on the new Gamers movie, and I understand they're about to go into production, so I'll go ahead and say y'all need to keep an eye out for that. It's going to be cool.
Oh, yeah. I'm a backer myself.
Apparently, they're filming in an actual Renaissance village that they've been wanting to film in from the start. So that's kind of cool. But,
in a way, you could say that Dead Gentleman and John Johnson is not that different when it comes to start. The John Johnson, I think, achieved a little bit more success in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least within the horror community, but still, I feel like that this had to have started in a college way.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these people, a lot of these actors and so on, definitely college age when this came out.
Right.
Well, what about you, Tammy? Favorite character, favorite scene, and favorite low-budget comedy?
Well, see, it's hard to really pick because I like I did like the Devil Dude, but I like the Invisible Man too.
Oh yeah, the Invisible Man is on my short list too.
Favorite scene? I actually liked it when he took the big ass dildo away from dude and hit him and everybody else. I thought that was funny. I don't know films like you guys do, so I don't really know what to pick for low budget comedy.
Hey, you could pick Bunny the Killer Thing.
No. Nope.
Good choice
Uh,
to put out there, Brandon. But
So yeah, I don't really know what to say for that. Sorry.
that
trying to remember the one that you actually liked. There's been a couple that you liked. I know this one is one of them that has surprised me that you liked. But didn't you like the Skeleton of Cadabra?
Is that the one with Rower?
Rower, yeah.
Yeah. I like that
Then
one.
pick that one.
there you go. Well, how about you, Dave? Favorite character, favorite scene, favorite low budget comedy?
Favorite character is Evil. A favorite scene or scenes. I actually kind of like it when Howard's actually like hitting himself all over the wall, falling over all over the bed. It's like some classic like Charlie Chaplin they're going on inside that hotel room that he evidently had rented for the occasion. The moment when the Indian actually spoke English.
Yeah, he had a silent Bob moment there.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. When the chick got killed with the dildo.
All right. And your favorite low budget comedy?
Night of Something Strange.
Well, yeah, that definitely skirts the edge of it, but yeah. Not the low budget, but the comedy bit. That was the one I still debate whether I will want to watch again.
I like that one a lot, mainly because of, I mean, someone had the balls to do it. So,
I have a number of those I like. I like a lot of low budget ones, but as far as favorite scene, my favorite scene is when Howard's trying to debate internally whether he's going back to Nilbog or not, and they have a complete dubbed martial arts fight between yes and no. I just thought that was I don't know why that just struck me as funny. As far as favorite character, the Invisible Man is definitely there, but the dog's also up there. As far as favorite low budget, I mean, there's a lot of those. Like Project Snake is a good example of one I really liked.
Yeah. What was that? Resident Horror?
No. Yeah, well, that's one by the same group.
Yeah.
Right.
I think you're going to go with Schusterman Levine.
Schusterman Levine is also a really funny low budget comedy.
Actually, we covered two on this channel that just came to mind that are worth mentioning too. The Velocipaster, absolutely a classic, and Lake Michigan Monster was also a really good one.
Yeah, I was about to definitely mention that one because it was really good. So, so there's a number of those low budget ones that were quite funny. Actually, if you think about it, Clerks still counts as a low budget.
Yeah, technically. It's a much higher budget. Like, this is micro budget, but
definitely under the $1 million mark.
Yeah.
So, one could say that Clerks is one of their favorite low budget films.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I got to say about Skeleton Key, Part 1.
Okay.
I'll hand it back to you, Dave.
Alrighty. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed our discussion on Skeleton Key, and that's not the skeleton key that you all know rather well
No,
from.
that was last week.
Hey, for all
that
we
was
know,
last.
some of the people who watch this is the only skeleton key they know, and they don't know the Kate Hudson one.
Watch that; it's better.
Or watch this. It's amusing.
You could watch
In
both.
any case, I guess we'll go around and do our outros. But let us know down in the comments what you thought of our film and our discussion. And I guess we'll go with you, Tammy, to start them off with telling them a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, I go on this channel and another one with David and talk with everybody about the movies that they picked and check out some that I haven't seen, which this one obviously was one. And it's interesting and well, most of the time they're fun. Sometimes they're not, but it's a lot of fun. And when the weather's nicer, I'll be out and about with my cat.
All right.
Heading over to you, Jake. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, I'm Kotobuki Jake. I am the co-host of the YouTube channel SeptumSin versus World, and I am also trying finally to get my act together to be a writer. I'm working on a novel that should hopefully be done soon. Workshopping it right now with some folks. And I do keep quite busy most of the time. I do have a day job, which keeps me quite busy, but also trying to get out and about, trying to be more active this year, spend more time outside, enjoy the outdoors while we still have them. And to that effect, also spend a lot of time traveling around trying to find good hikes and that kind of stuff. And led a hike up in Hanover over the weekend. So, do that. And but I do try to find time for some viewing. I like I said last week, we discussed Pani Pani Dash on our anime anti-climax feature on the on SeptumSin versus the World, and from early reporting, it seems that this month might be an even more controversial choice. I plan to get started on that one soon. But at any rate, and I do get some other viewing in on my own. We finally finished off Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a few days ago. I've caught up to What If. Finished Cobra Kai yesterday. Glad to finally get that finished, and it's a lot of fun. Look forward to. I'm kind of looking forward to the new Karate Kid movie. Kind of cautiously optimistic. And I do make time to join these folks each week for our discussions. Like I said, I had my serious doubts about this series, but kind of glad I gave it a go. I'm hoping that I will be able to be a little less harsh on the future installments of this series. We shall find out. And yeah.
Alrighty. Heading over to you, Brandon. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
I am SeptumSin, a SeptumSin versus the world. We do our best to do some physical media content on here. We filmed a pickup video today as well, which is kind of cool. We also do various other things. This time, of course, reviews. I have a review actually this week. If you haven't checked it out, you should check out the review I did on a pickleball exorcist. And of course, Thursday coming out is Camp Blood 666. And gosh, what is the name of the one I just did? It was called Hacksaw something. Devil's Hacksaw is what's going to be coming out hopefully next week. I've already got it filmed. And I am going to I've got the thing filmed. I just need to do the editing for it. So we're working on that while I'm also trying to help Dave with his project for Tales of the Forgotten. And I filmed actually a good deal thanks to Jake helping me out. We're going to have to add him as a cinematographer for this.
Right.
And we'll all have fun with that in the future.
Definitely. So, is that pretty much it then, Brandon?
Yep. For now.
All right. And my name is David Straggy. I'm one of the founding fathers of Inside Movies Galore. So thank you for coming along with us on this fantabulous journey that we've been having, visiting Nilbog. Is some of us for the first time, and some of us for the last, at least, of some of these films. I also do some podcasting on a different channel where I moonlight there as well, on Delusions of Grandeur, where I do some video pickups and some video reviews, and on our podcast there we do from time to time gather together on Sundays, and we have fun as well there too. And I think we just did a the Ring 2 discussion. We had some technical difficulties the week before, but everything fell in a good place to do it Sunday, and I think we had fun. So check out that 3-hour discussion, and hopefully you will gain as much of it as I put into it. In any case, as Brandon said, we're continuing on filming for the anthology, and hopefully we might even within the next couple of weeks have the second one wrapped up. So it's looking like it's gonna be almost an in the can thing. We just gotta add a few things and touch up a few things. I would have to say a couple more weeks, and and then of course there's always the cutting of the trailer.
Oh my.
But I don't want to freak out Brandon too much. So on that note, let us everyone say good night, and Brandis bring us into the intro or outro.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. And
Inside Movies Galore just makes you just want more. We've had all in the world of media to explore. Horror, anime, or Curious George. Our love of new things was our reward. It is the best night of our week.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.